Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I would not normally start a video like this, but I don't really have any time to get ready and then film the video, so I'm just going to do the video while I'm getting ready. Loads of people were asking me to film my birth story, and to be fair, it is quite a story, so I mean, that's dramatic, but it's not like the most simple of births. So I thought I would film a video. As you can probably tell from the title of the video, I was induced. I think it was, so I was due on the, why have I forgotten all of this already? 30th of November, I think I was due. I got induced on the 1st of December. So I was one day overdue, and I went to my midwife appointment that I had booked anyway, and I was booked in for a sweep. So I went in and she did the sweep. Well, she didn't actually, because she said she couldn't reach or find or something in my cervix, because I guess I have quite an awkward, the sweep didn't actually happen, but anyway, she asked all the usual questions that you get asked at the midwife appointment, like how are movements, that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, I feel like the movements are getting less, I guess because he's getting bigger, so he's not able to move around as much. And she found that quite concerning, so she was like, I'm going to send you to hospital to go and get put. By the way, if you're interested in any of the makeup, you're probably not here for the makeup at all, but I will link it down below. I got sent up to the hospital to go and sit on the monitor so that they could just listen to his heartbeat for an hour, and you press the button when you feel him move. So yeah, I was on there for probably, well, an hour or so. And I guess I didn't really feel him move that much while I was on there either. So they basically just advised me that I get induced. And that was never something that I wanted to do. I was desperate to give birth at this point, obviously, because I was only one day overdue, but you know how you feel, you just want to give birth. Yeah, I didn't want to get induced though, so, but they advised me that I should get induced, and they were like, well, it's up to you, it's not you know, an emergency, but at this point you are increasing the risk of stillbirth. So I was like, well, obviously, I'll get induced then. As soon as they mentioned stillbirth, I was like, yeah, not risking it, let's induce me. So I guess I kind of felt backed into a corner, and I kind of had to do it. Because at this point, it's not about you, it's about the baby and what's best for them. But also, they can't advise me not to get induced, because then what if something did happen and he wasn't very well, and they had said that he was fine. So they have to say that, obviously. So it's nothing against them at all, but at this point I was left with no choice. I needed to get induced. So they sent me home. This was 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. They sent me home and said have a bath, you know, pack all your stuff, chill out for a bit, and get back here for 6 o'clock to get induced. So we did that, we got back, I did have a bath. I was literally so emotional, I couldn't stop crying. I think one, because I was really scared of what's to come, because I was one of those people, and probably you are too if you're watching this, who was obsessed with watching people's birth stories, and inductions are never, well, they can be, I know people who have been induced and they gave birth within 4 hours, but usually for your first baby, when you get induced, it's not a easy process. It can be painful and it can be long, and I guess they don't really advise, they don't really tell you that until it's happening, and then they're like, okay, so I got induced on the Friday, and they were like, so you might have your baby by Monday, and I was like, okay, we've got a long journey ahead. And also I felt emotional that my pregnancy was over. I feel when you go into labour naturally, you don't have time to be thinking oh my god, pregnancy is over, I'm never coming back to this house again without a baby. All of these things were going through my mind. I really need to be getting ready because I have got a meeting I need to get to. It's my first, second day back at work today. Anyway, yeah, so the emotions were high. I was sobbing, but I'm not really like an emotional person, so that wasn't normal behaviour for me at all. So anyway, yeah, we went up to the hospital. I had all my stuff, I had all my snacks, I was ready to go, and they put the pessary in. So it was basically like a gel that they put, that's what pessary is, they put it up you, and it's like got hormones that induce labour. And so I didn't feel anything for the first like couple of hours. We were just chilling, watching Handmaid's Tale on the iPad. Harry was allowed to stay over, which was really nice. I don't know if it's the same at all hospitals, and also the ward was completely empty. We were the only people in there, so that was really, really lucky. So we were like just really chilled out, really. It was like absolutely fine. And then I reckon it was probably like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock that I started to feel like period pains kind of sensation, but I also felt like really shaky, really sick, had diarrhea, which I know from other people's labour experiences can be a sign that labour's starting. So like I was like, okay, this is it, and like it's happening. And then quite quickly contractions started, and they were like quite random, and they were fine. Like I was able to just lie. This is the other thing with being induced, you have to be for the most part laid on the bed on the monitor, which is really annoying because I was in like a bit of pain and felt like I wanted to be in different positions and like bouncing on the ball and walking around and that kind of thing. But yeah, you kind of a lot of the time have to be on the monitor, especially because for me, as soon as the contractions started, my baby's called Arthur, by the way. I haven't actually said that on here yet. Yeah, so Arthur's heart rate started to go up. And like with every contraction, it was just going up and up. So I had to be on the monitor for the whole time. So anyway, this continued through the night. Contractions were getting more and more and closer together, and I was laid still, and the only thing, because they were like quite like in my back, the only thing I could really do was like get Harry to make a fist with his hand, and I was like pushing my back into his fist, so kind of like massaging it that way. But yeah, that was all I could do. And then, as I said, Arthur's heart rate kept just going up, like he was getting quite distressed, and so the doctor came round, and she was like, yeah, we're just gonna like kind of keep an eye, because I think at this point they would have put, if everything was like going well, they would have put another pessary in to get things going even more. But yeah, they were like, we're gonna hold off on that and just like keep an eye. But yeah, it didn't stop climbing, so they were like, oh, we're going to put you on fluids because maybe you're dehydrated and that's why he's getting distressed. But I knew it wasn't that, because I'd bought like these big bottles of Evian and I was drinking them. So I'd had like a lot of water at this point. And then the other thing they did was they gave me an injection. I don't know what the name of this was or like what it really was, but they gave me an injection in my thigh to slow down the contractions, because they said like I was like reacting and like it was happening too fast, basically is what they said. So they gave me like an injection of something to stop it or like slow it down, and that worked. That alongside with the fact that they didn't ever give me another pessary, the contractions just completely stopped. And then I was told to like basically just wait until the morning. So in the morning when the doctor came round again, Arthur's heart rate had completely relaxed because the contractions had stopped. It had been quite like an ordeal because it was like really, it was really up, and at one point they were like, yeah, I think we're gonna have to deliver, like we're gonna keep an eye for a few more minutes, and if it doesn't calm down, we're gonna deliver. And like the doctor was like coming every like couple of minutes and like really keeping an eye. So it was quite like, it was worrying, and it was like quite like traumatic through the night. So obviously like I didn't get any sleep or anything. And then yeah, so after Arthur's heart rate had come down, it was probably like, I don't know, between like 7 and 9 in the morning. The sun was up at this point anyway, that's all I can remember. And the midwives like swapped over, so I guess it was like 8 AM. They came around and they were like, right, we're gonna start again, like put another pessary up. And I was just like, also before that, they examined me to see like what had happened in the time, and I was zero dilated, like no centimeters, and my cervix still felt hard. So I feel like that kind of shows that I was in for like a long journey, because I'd gone all through the night with like contractions and nothing had happened. Zero, not even 1 centimeter, not 2, not 3, 0. So I was like, right, great. But they were like, right, let's start again. And I just thought, why are we doing this again when we know that Arthur gets like distressed and his heart rate goes up? Like, I just felt like it was worrying, because I was like, I don't like the thought of him in there being distressed and not happy. I just didn't want to do it again. So at that point I said, no, I don't want to, like, I want to explore other options. It's really important to say what you want, by the way. Like, I feel like everyone's like, oh, I need to go like with their advice and just do what they say. But also talk to them, say how you're feeling, and say like, you know, like if I just been that okay and just not voiced how I felt, then we would never have spoken about other options. So anyway, they didn't put another pessary in, they left me and were like, wait until like the doctors do the rounds again and have a chat with him. So I did, and he was like, so what are you thinking? And I was like, I want a C-section. Like, I don't want to do it again. I just felt, it didn't feel right. C-section felt like the right choice at this point. It was, for me, it felt like the easier option, and it felt like it was the right thing for him, because I didn't want to go through like 3 days of labour. Personally, I quite liked the idea of a C-section from the start, and I nearly was going to have a C-section, and then for some reason I didn't. So yeah, I was like, I want a C-section, and this doctor was like, okay, you can have a C-section. He said, I honestly don't care how you give birth, as long as you and your baby are happy and healthy. And he was like, I'm going to go away for an hour, and when I come back, just let me know what you want, and we'll go ahead with it. He was like, you might not be able to have a C-section today, because they weren't doing like elected C-sections that day, so it was only like emergency, so they might not have had like enough doctors. But anyway, he came back around and I was like, yeah, I want to go ahead with the C-section. And so he went and like spoke to the doctors, surgeons, whatever, and came back and was like, we can fit you in. We can actually fit you in for a cesarean today. But the only thing was that I'd had breakfast, so I had to wait, I think it was like 6 hours before I could have the anaesthetic. This blush is so nice. It's the, I've dropped it, I'll get it. Nudies. No, it's called Nude Stick, and this is Nudies Bloom Sweet Peach Peony. Anyway, so we just basically waited like 6 hours. We were watching Handmaid's Tale. Harry was literally pacing up and down. He was so excited and nervous. And then yeah, at 3 o'clock we went down for C-section. When you are like in the theatre, like, it all happens very, very quickly. They were like, sit down. Like, my face is really itchy. Yeah, you are like told exactly what's going to happen when you get in there. So when you get there, you literally just sit there and it happens. You lean forward, you get the anaesthetic put in your back, and then it kicks in literally straight away. Your legs start to feel like warm and fuzzy and just numb. And then they like check that you're numb by spraying something really cold on them, and I couldn't feel it. Apparently the nerves that feel cold are the same as the ones that feel pain. So yeah, I couldn't feel anything, like I couldn't even feel touch. So they started with the C-section. I thought it was going to be like 5 minutes before he was born at this point, but it actually took about 25 minutes to get him out. He was quite stuck, I guess because he'd started like coming down and was like engaged, and then they're like, no, you're coming this way, and like pulling him the other direction. I guess that's why he got stuck. but he was also quite big. He was £8.4, which I feel like on my body is quite big. So yeah, he was born after like 25 minutes. I was so confused when he was born because I was really expecting like a blonde baby, and he was massive with black hair, and I was like, hello there. I put him on my chest, and then that was when I started to not feel very well. So I started to feel like lightheaded. I felt like I couldn't like see and hear properly, and for me that's when I know I'm like about to pass out, but I didn't pass out. And I didn't realise what was happening was that I was losing a lot of blood. So I had what's called like a postpartum hemorrhage, I think. And so I lost, not like, I don't think it's like that in the grand scheme of things, that much blood. I think it was like 1.5 litres. To be fair, I don't know if that's a lot or not. Like, anyway. So yeah, that was why I didn't feel well, and like really not with it, and like really shaky and pale, and just felt like a bit sick. I wasn't sick. I think it's quite common that people are sick in C-sections. It was like a reaction to all of the medication, but I wasn't, and they just kept like putting anti-sickness into me, and I felt, yeah, I didn't feel sick. I did feel sick, but not like I was gonna be sick. So anyway, because I didn't feel well, I was like, I want Harry to take Arthur because I didn't feel like I could like hold him properly. And then yeah, Harry probably had Arthur for like, well, for the whole duration that we were in there after that. So I guess it was like another half an hour or so while they stitch you up, and then like they like cleaned me up, put me on a bed and wheeled me out, and then we were in our own room. This bit's a bit of a blur, to be honest. I remember Harry was like really emotional, and I've seen him emotional once. I've seen him cry once, and he was like really, obviously, so emotional to see, but he wasn't until I felt better and I was holding him and I was like trying to breastfeed, which is a whole nother story because that didn't work. But yeah, then it was like emotional, and then my mum came like almost straight away, and I was having some tea and some toast. Everyone says it's the best of your life, but I can't even really remember it. I remember the tea was like quite weak and it wasn't the best of my life. So yeah, I think that is basically the end of my birth story. I stayed in hospital for 24 hours, or like maybe like 30 hours after the cesarean. They did want to give me a blood transfusion, but I said no. It was because I just wanted to get home. Like the ward was full and there was a lot of crying babies, so I didn't get any sleep. So it was like 2 nights without sleep at this point, and then the cesarean, and then losing loads of blood, and I didn't feel well. I looked awful, which is why they wanted to keep me in. And in hindsight, I should have had the blood transfusion, because then I would have felt so much better really quickly, but I didn't, and then I felt crap for like a month afterwards. So if you're offered a blood transfusion, don't turn it down like I did, because you just want to go home. Very silly, and I knew it was silly, but in the moment I was like, no, I'm going home, I'm fine. Like recovery for me from the C-section was really, really good. I was up and walking after like 6 hours so that they could take out the catheter. Is it called the catheter? Yeah. So I was up and walking quickly, and I wasn't, well, obviously that was like really uncomfortable, but I was walking fine after like 2 days probably. I think just like take it easy after a C-section, but also do walk around your house, and like just try and like get your body upright as soon as you can, because you'll want to like be hunched over because it feels like it's too tight. But yeah, I think just like get moving, but not too much, and also keep on top of your pain relief, because I was like, I'm not in pain, like I don't need to take it yet, but don't wait until you are in pain to take it, because why would you do that? Because you will be in pain if you don't take it, because I did that, and then I was crying. That was silly. So yeah, that's my birth story. I'm gonna finish getting ready. If you enjoyed the video, or maybe enjoyed is the wrong word, but found it useful or interesting or whatever, I felt like I had to do it, because obviously I didn't like vlog the birth, and then to just vlog again and be like, here's Arthur, it felt random. So I just wanted to do this to kind of fill in the gaps, and now I can get back to vlogging again, with Arthur, and I think I just want to do like homey vlogs and stuff. But let me know kind of what content you want to see, if there's any other topics you want me to talk about as well, because like I mentioned on my Instagram about like briefly about my breastfeeding journey, but also, or lack of breastfeeding journey. What else was I oh yeah, and also about like my low mood like after giving birth for basically like a whole month. So yeah, I feel like there's several things I want to kind of talk about and make. My memory card was full, but yeah, there's a few topics that I want to cover and make feel less taboo. So yeah, that's something I want to do, probably in my vlogs. I'm not going to do another sit down video. Please do subscribe to my channel if you're new here and want to see some mum and baby content. If you're pregnant and that's why you're watching, then good luck with everything. Hopefully I'll see you all in my next video.